Digital track is a journey into the digital world. The name Digital Track is inspired by Star Trek, my favorite show of all times. And I think our business, our company is an extension of the business that our clients are running. And we want to be with them in their journey. When we start working with different clients and basically discover what's going on in the digital world, we wanted to simplify things. We wanted to understand better, but also simplify things. We wanted to focus on things that mattered. We want to help good businesses be more successful. So those are some of the reasons why Digital Track. There is a purpose, and the purpose is to help good businesses succeed, to be their right hand when it comes to digital marketing, to simplify things and provide value for the different businesses. What happens, unfortunately, sometimes is that there is a lot of fluff, there is a lot of vanity metrics that don't bring any value to any business, but they exist out there. And we want to bring something different, to simplify things, but also to focus on what actually matters for you as a business. That's why most of the time we start by setting up the North Star metric. What is your North Star metric? It could be more leads, cost per leads, return on ad spend, revenue, whatever it is, usually impacts directly your revenue. And that's what we focus more. There are other businesses, other companies, other agencies that they focus on impressions, likes, views, visits, all those different things. And that's perfectly fine for different type of businesses. For the businesses that we work with and for what Digital Track represents, we wanted to bring clarity, simplicity, be a right hand in marketing, and focus on what helps you make more money. Some of the pains that I've seen that clients had with other agencies would be a huge report that they understand nothing about it. There is a lot of fluffy metrics, or would be lack of engagement or lack of ownership. And those are huge pain for a business, especially if they are local small to medium businesses, because marketing could be a significant portion of their expenses. Those are things that we want to address, and we engage quite a lot with our clients to basically avoid the mistakes of other people and other agencies. There is a gap when it comes to different agencies in terms of the services that are offering. And for us, the main gap is clarity, simplicity, but also lack of engagement. We want the business to engage with us. We want to engage with them. We want to understand better what they're doing. And we also want to focus on what exactly matters to them. You can think different agencies in this way. You have the McDonald's agency, and you have a cactus agency, and then you have a high-end restaurant agency. Now, obviously, in some cases, you're going to say, well, these are awesome, and I understand McDonald's is basically everything standardized. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, you're going to pay the same thing. You have cactus, where you have some better options, and then you have high-end restaurants where basically you have to have a lot of money. We don't want to be McDonald's, that's for sure. Now, in some cases, in rare cases, we can be the high-end restaurant. But one thing that we want to do, no matter what type of businesses, no matter of agency we're running, is that we want to have that personal approach and engagement. So I would say that instead of being one fit for all, or instead of being something that is high end and it's only for a few clients that have a lot of money. We want it to be something in between, be approachable, bring clarity, and bring value to our clients. I love working with businesses that have a growth mindset. Businesses that understand we can't predict the future. We need to test things out. We need to experiment. Businesses that understand that marketing is an investment. It's not just an expense, but it's an investment. Businesses that want to grow farther, those are the kind of businesses that we love to work with. And we found that the most successful clients are these type of clients. Clients that understand neither us, neither them, neither someone else can possibly predict the future. They understand that marketing is an amplifier and they are willing to test things out. And all comes down to having a growth mindset. If you want to be where you are, do exactly what you're doing. You don't need to change anything. On the other hand, if you want to grow your company, if you want to try things out, by default, you need to have a growth mindset. And those are the clients that have worked quite well for us. What's different on how Digital Tracks operates is that we emphasize cold tracking, lead tracking a lot. We emphasize positioning and strong foundation a lot before we do SEO, pay-per-click, paid media, etc. We emphasize high engagement and understanding your unique selling points. We want to have a plan and a strategy in place before we try tactics. It's an approach that we apply to our own agency ourselves, but it's also an approach that we do for our clients. So it's not that, okay, yeah, tomorrow I want to run an ad, let's do it. No, that's not going to happen. We cannot do that. We need to understand who you are, what you do, who is your clients, what makes you unique. We want to see that you have the foundations, you have a strong positioning, you have social proof. It's easier for people to understand what you're doing. And then we can run campaigns and do SEO. But not like, okay, tomorrow, after tomorrow, I want to start a new campaign and let's see what's going to happen right now. We don't do that. So we want an approach where we highly engage with you, we track everything, we have a strategy in place, we have strong foundations, and then we work together. What most clients or some clients get wrong before working with us is the time commitment and the engagement. In a lot of cases, businesses believe that once they tell us who they are and the goals, that's about it. They shouldn't engage and they expect things to happen, which is fine up to a certain point. On the other hand, what we do, especially in the beginning, is that we engage quite a bit. We understand your goals, position, etc., etc. But also when we run campaigns, we want to get the feedback from you saying, hey, this is a good client, this is a bad client, this is the ideal client, and not bad or good client, but ideal or not ideal, because you might want to niche down on something. You want to do something better than other people. You, by default, or because of your experience, you might want to work with a certain type of clients. This understanding comes only after we engage quite a bit with you. Another thing that a lot of business underestimate is, as I mentioned, the tracking, foundations. It needs a lot of time to do this properly. But once you have this in place, it's like a well-oiled machine that you can amplify its results really, really easier if you've done that before. A few businesses, they try themselves to do digital marketing, or they try always to find the cheapest agency or person to work with them. Trying yourself is like me trying to be a plumber by reading online and doing no work or wherever and trying to do things by myself. Or if you're a handyman and you're trying to fix things in-house. There are a few things that you can do them by yourself. But in most cases, it's probably better for you to hire somebody that specializes on that. I had an appliance that I needed to repair, and I tried to do that by myself by using ChatGPT, AI, YouTube videos. It took me 3-4 hours. I was able to resolve 90% of that, and the appliance worked perfectly fine, 90% of it. But if I had hired somebody from the beginning, they could have resolved that probably in 10 minutes. It would have cost me way less stress. And instead of focusing on things that I have no experience, I should have focused on what actually I know and I'm the best on, which is digital marketing. So the same logic applies to also a lot of businesses. You can try a few things to do it yourself, and that's perfectly fine. I highly recommend that you experiment. Don't put a lot of money on that experiment. You don't want to burn a lot of cash. But at the same time, as a business owner, you cannot be everything and for everyone. You have to focus on what are your advantages, what are your wins, what you can do better, and hire other people that can help you scale your business. So that's one thing. Other businesses that I would say that our prices are quite reasonable. If there are other businesses that they promise and guarantee that with a minimal amount they change your business and they do miracles, we are not one of those agencies. We don't do that, and we highly dislike the use of the word guarantee. It's like saying, I predict the future. You can't. And a lot of times, those agencies that do that, they're better at sales than actually doing the job. We want an approach that bring reasonable results to you, and we get a cut. We get a cut for that. We believe in a partnership instead of quick solutions. We believe of being there for you long term instead of trying shortcuts. And we believe that it's fair for us to get a good deal and for you to get a good deal. I think those are the foundation of a great relationship. Digital Track mission is to be your right hand when it comes to marketing. We want to be there in your journey, and we want to be your digital journey partner. In one sentence, I would say that Digital Track wants to help good businesses amplify their work through digital marketing. In simple terms, positioning is saying what makes you different from the other company that does exactly the same thing as you. There are a lot of competitors around you. They do the same thing. They have many years of experience. But maybe you have something unique that they don't have. Could be your process, could be your values, could be giving back to the community, could be your social proof. So positioning is, in one sentence, what makes you unique compared to someone else in the same industry that might actually have the same years of experience, etc., etc. What is that thing that is unique only to you? Most local businesses blend in instead of standing out because they are thinking in terms of the same industry. I do exactly the same thing. And when it comes to their marketing and when it comes to their positioning, they basically copy each other. You're going to see also a lot of cases where a business has the same testimonials and reviews as someone else. It's basically copy-pasting what someone else has. So a lot of businesses think that this is the safest way, this is the fastest way. I think it's fast when you copy-paste for sure, but I don't think this is the best way that you want to represent your business. I think deeply you need to understand what you offer, what makes you unique, and then get that to your business as well. So for a lot of businesses, there is a little bit, let's say, they get scared of being that different from other businesses, or they think, you know what, it's kind of like the same thing. But I think that each of us is unique, and businesses that we represent are unique. We just need to work a little bit harder to find that uniqueness and put it out there. When a prospect works with Digital Track, a lot of times we ask them a bunch of questions. Could be 20 or 30 different questions. And that could be questions related to each other or questions that they cover different sections. We want to understand your business, and we want to be an extension of your business. And in order to do that, we go through a process of interviewing you, but also interacting as much as possible, at least in the beginning of the relationship, so we can represent you as better as possible. And the way that we help clients to define a better position is through this process of engaging and asking them a lot of questions that they may never thought themselves, or maybe they thought them, but they didn't have a structure on how to put in place all their thoughts and everything that makes them unique. We are working with a construction company that they have roots in Brazil, but they're living here for many, many years. And the background is Japanese. They have a blend of different values that makes them really, really unique. And we want to show that on the website. And the way that we came to this realization is through engaging, through asking a lot of questions, going back and forth to better see how can we define a better position about them. So I would say engaging, asking a lot of questions, going back and forth, and being an extension of their team. That's how Digital Track help businesses define a better position. The fastest way to test if your website has a clear position is to ask somebody that doesn't know you and say, hey, this is my website, or this is a website of a friend, whatever. Can you visit and tell me what do they do, what make them unique, and would you buy from them? Does this inspire trust to you or not? So find somebody you don't know, find somebody that has no relationship to you, and ask those simple questions. If the answer is yeah, I understand what you're doing, and experience, uniqueness, giving back to the community, social proof, etc., then you are in a good position. If not, and people are confused, then you need to rethink a little bit about your business and positioning your business. The biggest mistakes that local businesses do or make with their website is the fact that they create something that is very generic that could apply to any business in their industry. For example, let's say you're a dental clinic or you're a plumber. A lot of times the content and the structure is the same from one business to another. That doesn't really make sense because there is nothing unique that you put out there. Instead of doing that, I think the best option would be that you create a structure to build trust. You talk about who you are, what are you doing, why should somebody trust you. Then you could talk about warranties, guarantees, certification, social proof, giving back to the community, things that make you unique. But what happens a lot of times, we see the same structure and the same content, and the only thing that actually change is the name. So you could say, let's say you have a website called John's Plumbing, and you have another website called Matt Plumbing. In a lot of cases, they change the logo and almost everything else is the same. To me, that's a low-hanging fruit that a lot of business owners should change and basically say, this is what makes me unique. Yes, I do dental clinic, I'm a dental clinic owner or a plumber or an electrician or HVAC, but here's what makes me different. Here is the social proof. Here's how many years in business we are. Here's our team. Here is how we give back to the community. So there are a lot of things that I believe they could differentiate, and this is one of the biggest mistakes that local businesses actually do. Most home service websites on dental clinic fail to generate leads because they treat their website as a fancy business card. They don't treat it as a sales agent, but treat it as maybe as a fancy business card. In a lot of cases, that might make sense, especially if you are B2B or if you are a dental clinic that you have a very strong brand. You don't really need to do all those actions when it comes to lead generation. Another factor is that in a lot of cases, conversion rate optimization on the website has never been applied. It's kind of like the same thing. You have the same content. There is no trust factors, no social proof, nothing that makes you unique. Another thing is that there is no structure or content, or the content might be very, very thin, and it's impossible for you to attract people organically. So either you have to pay, you can do paid advertisement, or you can do SEO. So in a lot of those cases, none of them happens. But even if that happens, in some cases, they don't optimize the website for the user to do a specific action. Meaning, if somebody visits your website, you need to be very specific or what you want them to do. Do you want them to call you, send you a form, I don't know, do something else? And in a lot of cases, this is basically missing from local businesses, especially home service or dental clinics that we are working. At Digital Track, when we design and develop a website, the first step is to understand what are the goals of the business. So we sit down, we have a interview, let's say, with a prospect, trying to understand the goals, what they're trying to achieve, etc., etc. Once we do that, we go through a phase where we want to understand what makes them unique. It could be they're offering something back to the community. It could be the years of experience. It could be some type of specialization and niching down. It could be something unique. It could be certification, warranties, the way that they communicate, something that has to do only with that business. So we write the content, we understand the goals, we write the content. Once we do that, then we go through a phase of web design, meaning what? We don't go on developing a website, but we design different prototypes from scratch. By doing so, what we do is that we create a website that is light and fast, it's fully customized, and it's personalized to your preferences and needs. And at the same time, we optimize for conversion rate optimization, meaning we ensure that there are all the elements so people can actually call you. There are all the elements so people can go through the website really fast and understand the structure and what you're offering and why should they buy from you. So we go through all those different phases. And lastly is what I would consider the easiest part, which is the development. For a lot of people, it looks like this is the hard part, but no, this is actually the easy part where you've done all the work. You know what the business stands for. You know what content you want to have there. You have optimized so it's easy for people to understand the structure, your unique values, your unique offerings, etc., etc. It's easy for them to call you, send you a form. And now we get the Figma design, send it to the developer and say, okay, this is what you need to do. So this is basically the process that we follow in order to make sure that we have a high converting website to bring value to the business owners. We had a client, a roofing client, that they had the before and after, and I'm going to talk about the process of before and after working with us. So this company has been in business for over 45 years. They have a really good reputation, really good reviews, but when it comes to the website, their website did not match the rest of the brand. They had something very generic of what they do, and that's about it. We worked together and we put a structure behind the homepage, about us, all the services that they're offering. So one of the things that we did was in 10 seconds, we wanted to make it easy for a visitor to understand what do they do and why should they keep reading. So one of the things that we changed is we talked immediately about the main service that they're offering and the niching down, but also about the fact that they have over 45 years of experience. Next, we talked about warranties, and there are different types of warranties. I had no idea about that. But this is a communication that we had with the business owner. Basically, we'd like saying, hey, what are people asking you? So are they asking about warranties? So we put warranties about that. They're asking about the ability to transfer warranties and everything else. So if you sell your home, you want to ensure that you can actually transfer the warranties, and maybe this is something that helps you to sell the house. So we put that out there. Another thing that we added obviously is social proof. They had amazing reviews, but before you couldn't see any of these reviews. They were on the Google Business Profile. Now what we did, we embedded a plugin where the Google Business reviews can be displayed on the website. And then we talked about them, what makes them unique compared to another contractor. So one of the things that they said is that in a lot of cases, the homeowner doesn't know who to choose. So it's them and somebody in a van that says that they're a roofer. But these guys have been there for 45 years. So they have the processes, they know how to, they have the team, they have the education of the team, they have insurance, warranties, everything. So we built basically a section where tells the user basically the difference between hiring this roofing company and hiring a general contractor. So it's really easy in 5 seconds to understand why you should hire those guys compared to somebody that, a general roofer that nobody knows. Or, let's say I wake up one day, I want to be a roofer, I got a van, I'm like, hey, this is me, I'm a roofer. Well, you don't want to do that, and you want to show what's the difference between hiring somebody that is doing this for 45 years and somebody that woke up one day and said, I want to be a roofer. Don't get me wrong, getting new people, new businesses, trying out new things, this is awesome, but at the same time, we want to show what's the difference between hiring somebody well-established, that they have processes, procedures, and somebody just starting out. Then, another thing that we understood by talking to the business owner is that their clients, a lot of times had an issue with communicating with different trades. So what they did is they had an application where they can inform the homeowner about all the different stages on the roofing and what they're doing. So we added that section basically saying, this is how we're going to communicate with you. So if communication was a friction, and maybe generally speaking could be a friction with different trade, home service businesses and homeowners, now what those guys are saying is like, we have a solution to that. We know that this is a pain, a lot of people are feeling it, so we have a solution to that. This is application of what we're doing. And then we talk about, again, this is a well-established company, they are fully insured, they have all those different certifications that they're missing before. Now we added them on the website. There's a process on how they work that was missing before. Now we added on the website, and then call to actions, financing, that all those different factors, sections were missing, but now they have them on the website. So to summarize, we added, we made it so easy for people to understand under 30 seconds, why should you hire them? Experience, what do they do, social proof, warranties, what differentiate them compared to somebody that just started out, insurance, as I mentioned, certifications, financing, call to actions, etc. So this should be like before and after. Before was something very generic that could apply to anybody, and after that is something very, very specific that has all the social proof that I mentioned, and it's tailored to their potential client. And I think this would be a really good example of before and after. Every homepage on the About the Fold should have a section that talks about who they are, what do they do, who they serve, and simply put a call to action. So think it from somebody that's visiting either from a mobile or a desktop. You want to generate interest, so you want to make something that is appealing to them. If you have something generic that has no call to action, nothing unique, then it's really hard for people to follow up and to see the rest of the page. So I'd say write about what you do, something interesting about what you're doing, what makes you unique, such as your experience, and then a simple call to action. So if you are a dental clinic or a roofer or a lawyer, tell exactly what your services are. You don't need to have a huge section about that, just at the hero section, and then a call to action if somebody wants to call you or send a form. If a website was a salesperson, what would a bad one be? Think it somebody that doesn't know you, somebody that speaks about something very generic without addressing your needs, without telling what makes them unique, what makes their service stand out, without having any social proof, but just basically saying, I'm good because I say that I'm good. Would that actually convince you? No, it doesn't really make sense, right? So this would be also a way to transfer the same, or to apply the same logic to a website. Something that is very generic, something that doesn't actually show the unique selling points of a business, something that doesn't invite your curiosity or does not help you understand why should you buy or trust from them. This would be a bad sales website or rep. A good website does several things that a bad website doesn't. So number one, it should be easy to navigate, should be easy to understand what the website stands for. They should have a clear layout structure. The design should be simple and should be focused mostly, in my opinion, to functionality, not so much of animation, anything like that. Should mention what they do, what they offer, or what's the difference between them, and someone else. Should have social proof. Should be easy for you to remember when it comes to comparing them and another website. Should have call to actions, and it's totally fine to repeat those call to actions. And ideally, you don't want to overwhelm the user by having so many different options. You can advertise 2 to 3 of your main services and focus on that.